Jennifer McCollum from Parent Teens. I am here today with the beautiful Tia Fagan. Tia is a conscious parent coach. Hello, Tia.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for being here. I can't wait to hear about your story and what brought you to becoming a conscious parent coach. And I know I was going to kind of do a longer intro, but I'd really like to hear it from you, Tia. Tell us about yourself and how you got to the point of being a conscious parent coach.
Sure. So I'm the mom of twin daughters. They are graduating from high school this year. So they're headed off in the fall. And so I've kind of been through a lot of the teenage years, obviously, with more to come with college years. But when I started out parenting, I used to be an engineer. So I was very analytical, very, give me the information. I read every book, even with twin daughters, whenever I had a chance to read, when I wasn't taking care of them, I just wanted to become a better and better and better parent. And as things changed, things developed, they'd bring up different behaviors and I'd try to find the perfect solution. Well, there is no perfect solution. I eventually figured this out. And in reading those books, I might have a tool that worked for the short term, but the long term, it didn't necessarily work, or what worked for one didn't work for the other. And throughout that process, I kept knowing there was something else. There was something I was missing. And in my own personal growth and development, just personally, I didn't really make the connection fully of how I could apply a lot of those teachings to my parenting. And I was exposed to Dr. Shefali Sabari, and she was that missing link in the puzzle. She put that piece in the puzzle, provided me with the realization and the understanding that this is how it works for me. This is what works for me. And through the process of taking courses with her, all of a sudden I realized this is my calling. This is my soul's work. And so I went through a certification process to become a parent coach, and I am bringing these teachings out to other parents. And it fills me up in a way I can't even describe, because I know how it has deepened the relationship with my own children, and I'm seeing other parents deepen the relationship with their teenagers, coming to different understandings, different ways of dealing with the challenges in a way that's not punitive, but in that puts the relationship first. And so that's, in a nutshell, how I came to become a parent coach.
Wonderful. And would you say, in a nutshell, that is the teaching of Dr. Chevalier too? Because we see a lot of her in the media right now, all centered around conscious parenting. And would you say that is exactly what it is that she teaches, or is there more to her teachings?
Oh, there's a lot to her teachings. Like I said, I've been with her, taking her courses. I'm in her first coaching cohort. So I already was certified as a coach, but when the opportunity came up to actually be certified under Dr. Shefali's teaching, I jumped at the chance. She had been talking about it for years, and I knew when it finally happened, it would be something I'd want to do, because it would not only develop my skills as a parent, but also develop and hone my skills as a parent coach to an even deeper level. So the conscious parenting is about parenting, but it's really also about yourself and your own personal growth and development, because the more solid we are in who we are, knowing why we are reacting the way we're reacting, we're able to break those patterns, break those generational patterns, and not pass them on to our kids. And that's why this work speaks so much to me. And that's why I think we see deeper, longer changes versus the quick fixes, that may work in the short term, but in the long term, it's not coming intrinsically from your teenager. We want them to develop their own sense of self, their own sense of ability to say, you know what, I need to pause and I need to think about this before I move forward. And of course, that's always keeping in mind brain development of the teenager without the frontal cortex. They can do that, but there's times they're unable to. So when they maybe go down a wrong road, or they make a choice that we're not too excited about, it's how do we move forward from that? How do we help them learn from that situation rather than punishing them? Because what I've experienced with my kids and other people's children is they are their own worst critic, just like we are. So how can we help them tame that inner voice and say, okay, I made a mistake, now what do I do? How do I move forward? What do I do differently? What is this telling me about me? Not just for our teenagers, but what's it telling about me as a parent? What's my reaction? How do I quiet my own inner chatter of self-doubt and shame? Because the more we can connect on the heart level, it's parenting experience, when you start to get it, and it's not easy, it's a hard road, but it is so worth it. And that's why I love to support parents through those bumps in the road, because long term, it's, we're breaking generational patterns.
Mm-hmm. And what a great value for you to have that course as well, to go through that with Dr. Chevalier, so that you can bring that to your clients and the parents and the teens that you're working with. So I think that that's wonderful. And I have to say, from my personal experience, that all of that really, really resonates with me, that, how we need to go through all of this, learn, understand what's behind it, and look at long-term relationships. And I love that you're here today to really give us some solid, actionable steps that we can take to attain that. So I know you're here to talk to us about 3 ways that we can really connect with our teens. And so, kind of segueing into that and all of that wonderful work, what would be the first thing that you would suggest that we can do, that, something that we can move towards to having that connection with our teen or teens, if we have twins? And I have twins too, so lots in common there, but it
brings a different element when you have twins too, because they're developmentally at the same stage. But I would say, go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah, you've got 2 at the same age going through the same thing, but they're completely different. They're not alike at all. So you almost have to parent 2 different ways.
Yeah, exactly.
with those kids at the same time makes it a little more difficult.
Right. It really helps you learn present moment and how to flow, right?
Right.
Because you have to meet them each individually, as they are.
And it teaches you a lot about yourself, and it teaches you a lot about what works with each child as well.
Right. Exactly. So they're my greatest teachers. I'm so grateful for all the lessons that they have taught me and helped me parent myself, reparenting myself in addition to parenting them. I think, one of the main things is, it's with conscious parenting, and the approach that I take with parents is, it's really about the relationship with your child. First and foremost, because without that relationship, you don't have the trust, mutual respect, understanding, accepting each other as they are. I mean, just accepting your child as who they are is so empowering for your child, because they feel seen and heard. And then it's also, accepting ourselves as we are as well. So really, that relationship drives it. I'm sure you've heard the phrase connection before correction. That it's so true, because when we go right to correction, we lose the relationship with our child. May not be as willing to come to us when they make a mistake. Whereas if we connect first and then work on the lesson, if there happens to be one, the lesson may already have occurred naturally on its own. We may not even have to point it out. And I had my daughter last week, they're going off to college. So I started falling a little unconscious with the fear of they're going off. I have to make sure they have all the tools. And I was lecturing a little bit, providing lessons. And my daughter stopped and looked at me and she said, "Mom, I love you, but you need to stop the lessons right now, because I already know these. If I need anything, I'm going to let you know." And so she was the perfect mirror for me. I'm like, okay, I was afraid that you didn't understand the lesson of what you just shared with me that your friend did, and so it was a learning tool, but it really wasn't in that moment. And so she brought me back to the present moment, brought me back to our individual relationship. And so I was so grateful that she pointed that out to me. So that would be, the number one, relationship first, connection before correction.
And I have to say, that's probably one of many big mistakes that I've made in parenting. Like, when does that end? The connection before correction. When does it go from, they're young and you have to give them, your morals and your values and all those things I know that Dr. Chevalier doesn't want you to do. But the teaching right and wrong, like, when does it go from the teaching of correcting to the connection? Like, I feel like I got that one completely wrong because I kept wanting to do the correction, and then all of a sudden they're teens and they do know it, but I'm still doing correction. So I know there's no clear-cut answer to that. What, like, is it something we kind of have to slowly guide ourselves into as they become teens?
Yeah, I mean, I think you summed it up. It's a guiding. We switch into, I mean, we're always their guide, but as we evolve in our parenting our teenagers and they're evolving, it's flowing with them and releasing some of that, going more into guidance, less into correction, because they're auto-correcting. You know, it's reminding ourselves, and, you know, and that's one of the other points is we're raising adults, right? I mean, so the boundaries that I had with our daughters, which we worked on together as much as possible, they've evolved over the last 4 years of high school. You know, so for example, screen time, right? So they didn't get a phone until freshman year, a smartphone, and there were some pretty strict boundaries around that. Mm-hmm. Some of it was driven by my fear, some of it was reality, some of it was what, you know, there were all sorts of things thrown in there. But as they grew up and evolved, you know, those boundaries got lighter and lighter. And this last semester of their senior year, we made the decision of, okay, you can actually charge your phone in your bedroom at night. Mm-hmm. Because isn't it better for them to figure it out with homework? Because come freshman year of college, they're going to have their phone in their bedroom at night because they're in a dorm room. There's no other option to charge it somewhere else. So moving away from correction, it's moving into trust and moving into, you have these tools within you. And if you're going to navigate charging your phone in your bedroom with that really strong, exciting attachment of this little, you know, the little screen, right? It's so easy to want to go on that, and you don't get your homework done, or you don't get enough sleep. What better place to do it is at home and figure that out. Now, would I have done that when they were freshmen? No, we didn't. Mm-hmm. So it's slowly expanding their autonomy, you know, and each child is different. Some kids you can, you know, in certain areas, it's recognizing, listening to your child. Where are they struggling? Where do they need your guidance? And where are they really managing well on their own? They may fumble and fall, and we're there to pick them up and help them. But moving away from that correction as much as possible. Now, that doesn't mean it's loosey-goosey. Everything just is fun as they want to do. It's not that at all. But I'm all for collaborating with your teenager on boundaries, because a lot of times they come up with stuff better than we can come up with. And they're more likely to maintain those boundaries because they've been a part of the deciding what they would believe. You know?
It does sound so much easier too to do it that way, you know, when you're deciding together. But that moves us really at a great point into your second point for us. So the first one is that relationship and the, you know, guiding them, trusting them. I love all those words. And you are connecting before correcting. I love all that. What's coming to my mind is sometimes, and I know with my kids, behaviors come out. Yeah. And I react to these behaviors, and I don't like that. I don't like it because I know it's never really about the behavior. So can you talk to us? I know this is your second point, so help us work through that, you know, how to understand, you know, the why behind teens behave the way they do, and maybe help us understand why we react
definitely
to their behavior.
And that, you know, and this is a huge part of conscious parenting, right? Because we have to understand the why. What's the why? Behavior is only a form of communication. That's all it is. It's how the inner stuff is showing up on the outside. So there's the image of the iceberg, you know, so the behavior is what you see on the top, and then underneath is all the other stuff going on. And the same is with us, right? Our behavior is the top of the iceberg, and there's all that stuff going on. So two examples that are pretty simple, I want to, you know, simple to think about it is your kid comes home from school and you're so excited to see them, and they come in and you're like, how was your day? And, you know, you may get an eye roll, you may get a fine, you may get, who knows what kind of reaction you're going to get from your kid when they walk in the door. You know, oftentimes the teens are on their phone right away, you know, or want a food, whatever it is.
Right.
So using the example of fine, running upstairs, slamming the door. And meanwhile, we're sitting here going, I just love you and I just wanted to talk to you. I just wanted to hear about your day. So we often go into our reaction about, they don't love me, what did I do wrong, how ungrateful of that child, can't they take 5 minutes to spend time with me? Well, maybe something happened. First of all, they have so many demands at school, but what if they got into a fight with a friend at school and they just didn't know how to handle it? And where is the safest place? Home. The safest place is home, where they can just snap at us. Doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. We can help guide them to other choices, but it's understanding maybe they're exhausted. Maybe a teacher said their work wasn't done well and they thought they really did a good job, so they weren't feeling good. So they, roll their eyes, slam their door. So it's understanding those behaviors are just a way of releasing things that are happening beneath the surface. And same with us. How many times do you come home and you're exhausted, long day at work, stuck in traffic, whatever it is, and your kid wants something from you? Your teenager's like, I'm hungry, and or what's for dinner? And it's like, I have no idea what's for dinner. We snap back. Okay, so maybe we have stress from work. Maybe we're thinking of the 20 things we need to get done by tomorrow. And it's our kid asking us for a snack or what's for dinner is just one more thing. So it's understanding what is the fear driving our behavior underneath. What is it coming back from? Maybe our parent did something to us and it's in our subconscious and it's showing up as a trigger in our reaction to our kid. And a big part of it too is, it's understanding the why, but also having compassion for ourselves and for our kids. Because we're human, right? We're all going to blow up. We're all going to say something we regret. No matter how conscious you are as a parent, we're still going to mess up because we're human. And how we repair that after the fact is important too.
That's wonderful to just look at it that way. And so what I hear you saying is that we need to take less of our teens' behaviors personally. So it's not a personal, they don't hate us when they're not answering us or when they're, upset about something. It could be a gazillion other things that they're dealing with in the day. And then just, realizing we're human, because with all of this parenting advice that I hear, what I hear most is that no one is perfect.
No.
And we all do need to be kind to ourselves, kind to our teens. And I love that you are letting us know too that, I know the reason why, I feel so strongly about supporting parents of teens is that I realize I could have done a lot of things better, but I'm not going to beat myself up about it. We're going to move forward and we're going to support parents of teens, but they're also going to know we've been through it. We are all in this boat together. So thank you very much, Tia, for just walking us through that. Now, I know you have one final tip, and I love this one the most. I love them all. But tell us your third tip to really connecting with our teens.
Sure. I think, it all comes down to remembering that our teenagers are not going to be living in our homes forever, right? They're going to go out into the world, just like we did. And it's remembering we're raising adults, we are preparing them. It's our job to prepare them for the world. And if we don't allow them to make mistakes at home, where they feel supported and guided and help them, how are they going to do it on the road? The last thing, I always use that example, the phones are a perfect example. If we have a parent who is so restrictive of the phones, and I get it, trust me, I understand. I had to really do a lot of work around technology personally, because we didn't grow up with it in the same way. But if we put so much restriction when they move out of the house, what do we typically see? So in our generation, it was the TV or whatever it was, they go, and then you binge, right? Because you haven't learned how to self-regulate. So it's reminding ourselves, are we helping our kids learn their inner compass so that they intrinsically are motivated from within? How can we support them to make those decisions on their own? Where if we're helicopter parenting, or lawnmower parenting, all the different terms that are out there. We're not letting our kids make decisions for themselves and figure it out. You know, we have to let our kids interact with their teacher if they have a missing homework. That's not our job, especially as teenagers. We have to let them choose their classes, choose what they're going to do, make those choices, because that's what they're going to do when they move out. And we want them to be able to do it on their own. I mean, isn't that our ultimate goal? You know, what's the saying of the bird? You know, the mama bird pushes the baby out of the nest, trusting the baby's going to fly. Same with our teens. We have to trust them because they know so much. I think teenagers are amazing. And if we just let them fly a little more, you would be amazed. And it's scary for us. It's scary, but that's normal and it's okay. But as long as we're their safe place to come home and help them, that's what I hope for the parents that I work with.
That is beautiful. And for me, just listening to you say that, it takes so much pressure off of always making sure they're doing right. They're going down the right path. They're making all these right choices. They have to make their own mistakes. They are their own people. They are growing into adults that will be living on their own, going off to school, you know, having their own family. It just, that feels really, really good to me. And it feels like you've just taken, you know, the weight on my shoulders and gone, you know what? We're just going to let them make some mistakes. It's okay. It's okay because you're trusting them to be their own people and grow into the adults that they will be very soon. That's wonderful.
Right. And if we don't make mistakes, we don't learn, right? We need mistakes to learn.
That feels really good too. Mistakes are okay. That feels really good. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I know on your website you have a few more tips. I know we only went through 3 today, but you have a print off on your website giving 7 tips to connecting with your teen. And I know parents can find you on our Parent Teens website, so I'll provide links after this. And I'll put those 3 tips in a PDF so that if you want to print those off, just as a reminder, put on the fridge, by your nightstand, wherever it is, to be reminded. Those 3 tips were, remember it's about the relationship. The second tip was understanding the why behind your teens' behaviors and the why behind your reactions. And that number 3, we're raising adults, which is beautiful. So I love all those 3 tips. And I'll make sure that everyone has links to find the others on your website. I wanted to talk to you before we wrap up today, though, about your coaching.
Yes.
So you are the Conscious Parent Coach. Do you do this in person, online? How is your coaching? How do your coaching sessions run?
Sure. So I do them in person for people who are locally. For people who are not local to Wisconsin, I do them online. So we can either do it like this. You know, I do them, sometimes people prefer the face-to-face, and then I've had clients who really are intimidated, you know, by the screen. So we just do a regular phone call. So I let the client guide, because that's what's most important to me, is that you, the client, are comfortable. So if that's a phone call or a Zoom call, that's where we go. So yes, so online, so anywhere in the world, that's the beauty of technology.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, exactly.
That is great. And I'll make sure people know where to find you then. Is there anything we missed, Tia, that you really want to let parents know about the way you coach? Or I know those 3 tips were so valuable. Even if we just did those 3 tips, I feel like those are the answers. Those are the keys to that connection that we're all like just craving from our teens. But is there anything I missed?
I mean, you know, there's so much, but I think to sum it up, you know, it's about supporting you, the parent, through the ups and downs, and that there are ups and downs. And when we make a mistake, just like our kids, we have to have the same compassion for ourselves. So no one's perfect. And who really wants to be perfect? Because that's kind of not fun, and that's a lot of pressure. So my coaching really focuses on supporting the parents, supporting them through those ups and downs, getting a deeper understanding of yourself, because what a gift to give your kids. You know more about yourself, so they're going to know more about themselves, just by osmosis, right? So,
And that's wonderful. And you're going to get through it.
Exactly.
But and I highly recommend the coaching too, because there is that time when you just need someone to help you walk through it and remind you of the importance of, you know, that connection. So thank you, Tia, for all that you do.
Thank
I
you.
hope you come back and join us again. But definitely all you parents out there listening to Tia, connect with her on her website, Parent Teens, and definitely go and get her download and get the other 4 tips for how to connect with your teens.
Thank you. It was so great talking with you.
Thank you, Tia. We'll see you again. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.